How do you create an anti-racist school? Very early in my teaching career, a Korean American student came up to me and said, "I'm so proud to have a teacher like you." At first, I didn't completely understand since he wasn't a student in my class, but then I thought about it and how I never had a teacher that looked like me in all my K through 12 education in California. And as a second generation, I was reminded of how representation matters and how that shapes a child's worldview and their view of themselves. My name is Dr. Jeff Kim, National Board Certified Teacher. For the past 20 years, I've served as a teacher, administrator, civic lead, and teacher educator. It's been a difficult season in the past couple of years as our nation has been battling two pandemics, COVID 19 and the lesser known pandemic of racism, especially the surge in anti Asian racism. I had been noting this escalation, which began with name calling, and at first I felt numb to it all, perhaps because I was used to being called names growing up, but an Asian American student came up to me and whispered in a concerned voice her fear of the surge in violence. And I felt great compassion. I told her not to worry, but that probably wasn't the right advice as the name calling in this country has escalated into assaults, including the beatings of elderly men and women who look very much like my own parents. And then on the night of the Atlanta shootings where 6 Asian American women were murdered, I knew I could not be silent anymore on this topic. My students had organized a social media campaign in partnership with OC Human Relations Know Better campaign, where they submitted PSAs and artwork and stories on topics they wanted to express. There was desire by the students to have more, so once again we partnered with OC Human Relations to conduct days of dialogue to provide students and staff a space to discuss how they were feeling as well as next steps. As AAPI month came around, we looked for ways to be culturally honoring and create a more culturally inclusive and anti-racist culture. In another video, I'll share some of the video clips that I submitted the previous year. Some of what I'm discussing I also shared in an interview with EdWeek on what schools should be doing on anti-Asian violence, and I'll put that in the description. A part of this surge in hate is that it's not new. It's something I've experienced all throughout my life and is historically rooted. Many do not know about Asian American history and the Asian American experience. In fact, just like I didn't have a teacher or administrator that looked like me, I did not know my own history until I majored in Asian American Studies at UC Santa Barbara. I want the next generation, though, to know their story. Very recently, I have created and submitted a new course for Asian American Studies. I'm also a part of a team of educators helping to design supplementary lesson plan materials to support the Model Ethnic Studies curriculum with the faculty at CSUF in Long Beach. We are currently delivering a series of 7 webinars and are holding an in-person conference in October. The story of Asian Americans is a story like many others, but also a story like no other, and helps give another lens to look at oneself and process and grow through some of the pain we have experienced as a nation, while at the same time acknowledging the remarkable achievements, especially of groups which have not been traditionally recognized. When there is ignorance, that doesn't mean that persons don't know anything, but rather what they know is oftentimes the stereotypes and caricatures which can lead to bias and hate. I have a project-based learning assignment, which I call My Story of Resilience, where students have the opportunity to know their story, tell their story, have others listen to their story with empathy and respect, and to do good with their story. We begin with the ethnography, which includes an opportunity for students to connect with their own generational story, family, and culture to better answer the question young people have: who am I? As students delve into this work, it very purposely incorporates culturally relevant pedagogy, which taps into the students' and families' funds of knowledge. I also get to work in a district where a majority of our schools now have California democracy accreditations. Students have the opportunity not just to learn about civics, but engage in civic inquiry and have the opportunity to do something good with what they're passionate about. One of the voices least heard are students, especially students of color, special need, and multilingual learners. By equipping them to deliver soapbox speeches or passion speeches, they grow in their own voice, purpose, choice, and agency. So, my advice begin with, as one teacher I know shared it, embrace culture and create places where dialogue can happen and stories can be heard and shared. Begin where you're at and strive to help all students find out what they're good at so that they can do good with it. This is Dr. Kim from EdFamily, signing out.